Does it show recording? Okay. So we're very happy to have with us MC Vaijayanti, who is going to give a talk on the topic Parental Love of Alwars. This is one of the first series we have on Bhakti in Vaishnavism. Before we get on to the talk, I'd like to introduce Vaijayanti. MC Vaijayanti is a postgraduate in English literature from the Madras University, and she holds a PG diploma in journalism from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Chennai. She spent most of her major part of her working life as a journalist, covering diverse subjects such as stock markets, banking, finance, oil and gas sectors. She was a PANOS South Asia Fellow in 2012 and 13 as part of the India Telecom project, and a Justice Telang Fellow in Indology in 2017-18 Asiatic Society. The thesis that she presented was Arayar Sevai, a millennial retrospective. Since then, as an independent researcher, she's presented several papers on temples, textiles, and heritage. This is a topic that's really dear to her heart, and we are very happy to have with us, Vaijayanti. Welcome.
Should we start?
Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead and start.
பொன்புரையும் வேல் குலசேகரனை மாசிக் புனர்பூசத் தெழில்வஞ்சிக் களத்துத் தோன்றி அன்புடனே நம்பெருமாள் செம்பொற் கோயில் அனைத்துலகின் பெருவாழ்வும் அடியார் தங்கள் இன்பமிகு பெருங்குழுவும் காண மண்மேல் இருளிரிய என்றெடுத்த இசையில் சொன்ன நம்பெருமாள் சேர் திருமொழி 105 பாட்டும் நன்றாக எனக்கருள் செய் நல்கினியே. பேரணிந்த வெள்ளிபுத்தூர் ஆணி தன்னில் ஜோதி தனில் தோன்றும் பெருமானே, முன் சீரணிந்த பாண்டியன் தன் நெஞ்சு தன்னில் தேக்கமரமால் பரத்துவத்தை திறமாச் செப்பி வாரணமேல் மதுரை வலம் வரவே வானில் மால்கருட வாகனனாய் தோன்ற வாழ்த்தும் ஏரணி பல்லாண்டு முதல் பாட்டு 471 எனக்கு தோனியே. Namaskaram. Thanks to the Hindu Center, Singapore and Anuradha for giving me the opportunity to be back here once again this year. I am not an expert on the subject, but as she said, this is a subject which is very to me, and it is because of my intense desire to read the Prabandhams of Alwars and spread the joy of what little I have grasped that I have taken today's task. The lullabies of Alwars, the Talattu Padalgal, have long fascinated me. Since they are musical, written as poetry that can be set to tune and sung, the Carnatic music tradition has been doing it for a long time now. We have both Periyalvar's lullabies to Krishna and Kulasekara Alwar's lullabies to Sri Rama set to music and sung beautifully by many big musicians over many years now. They are pure nectar. Talattu, which normally one would consider a folk, something that is practiced by all mothers across geographies, languages, becomes an established literary genre in the hands of Alwars. I do not know if there is a lullaby to Rama or Krishna in language prior to the literature of Alwars that forms part of this large compendium, Nalayara Divya Prabandham, the 14 verses of all the 12 Alwars. The reason I want to speak on these two Alwars and their Matrubhavas is for the reason that in all of the analysis of Bhakti literature we have in the literary criticism and religious studies, the parental love, the Vatsya Bhava, takes a back seat. Bhagavan is a Bhakta Vatsalan, the one who cares for his children, his devotee. But in these poems, there is a role reversal. Azhwars get into the bhava of the mother, Yashoda, Kausalya, and a pining father in Dashratha. The greatest of the Bhaktas, steeped in Dasya Bhava, the Alwars in this situation become the parent and the Paramatma becomes the child. Viraha Bhakti as a continuation, that is the separation, the Nayaka Nayaki Bhava, the Nayaki for the Nayaka, has been written about, commented, and talked about a lot. And we get this from the Ras Leela, which is been written in literature that is available from the Vraja, the Vrindavan region also. But not so much attention is paid to what Alwar has written or what Kulashekara has done compared to what Viraha Bhakti, the attention the Viraha Bhakti gets. The work of what Periyalvar is giving us in what would become later in Tamil literature called Pillai Tamil. Pillai Tamil becomes a big genre in Tamil literature where babies growing up days, months, years are recorded, and it becomes prevalent. And according to one record, there is supposed to be at least 150 Pillai Tamils available today. They wrote on Pillai Tamils on everybody, Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, and also in 20th century, E.V. Ramaswamy Nayak and Kamaraj, all of them they wrote. But the pioneer who set this whole tone is Periyalvar. While Sangam literature is taken as the inspiration for all the Viraha Bhakti poems that the Alwars penned, though there is an issue where how we date them in the traditional accounts, we date Alwars' birth dates in terms of some of them who were born at the end of the previous Yuga and some who were born in the early years of Kali Yuga, etc. So their dating is very, very ancient according to the traditional dating. Traditional dating that we have. But the historical dating, of course, puts the Alwars anywhere between the 600 to 900, the 7th to 10th century in the previous millennia. So the Krishna Bhakti, which Periyalvar brings out in Periyalvar, the Periya Tirumozhi, is very, very unique. The baby Krishna is Bala Leelas have been written about from the original Itihas to the modern day literature. We have the seeds of the Krishnavatara from Harivamsha, which is considered a segment of the Mahabharata itself. The basic outlines of Krishnavatara we get from Harivamsa. Then we get the biography and some of the in the Vishnu Purana, and also the expansive Krishna Leelas we get from the Srimad Bhagavatam's 10th canto. We are not getting into the issues of dating here of any of the texts, but some of these scholars, that is the Bhagavatam, which we have received today as a text to be later than Alwars, and some of them have said it must have been written by South Indians inspired by the Alwar poetry. So such is the impact the Alwars poetry has had, and in specific the Krishna Leela, which Periyalvar does, is like the earliest in terms of a very detailed, elaborate, what to say, the Anubhava of the Krishnavatara. Then we have had later the post this period, the Gita Govinda, Bilva Mangala, Leela Sukha's Krishna Karnamrita, and then we have Surdas, Meera, Narsi Mehta, whole lot of Vagekaras, and to talk about Krishna, specifically the Utukadu Venkatakavi. And there is abundance of poetry, art, temple, architecture, paintings, which celebrate the Krishna Bhakti and the Krishna Leelas. But it is not that we read much of Surdas or Tulsidas in the south, maybe because of the language issues we have now. And the north may be not very well aware of the poetry of Periyalvar or Kulashekara, though at least some amount of knowledge is there, but we can't say it is like a general knowledge across age groups or across geographies in terms of the ability to read, and see the connection between how each one of them has celebrated the Krishnavatara and the Krishna Leelas. We experience the Leelas through the Alwars. When we read their poetry, the bhava that we have to imbibe, we get it from the Alwars. Today, we will try and experience a few of those Leelas through the Alwars verses. They become an ordinary mother worrying about the child, one instance. In the next moment, they are like fully aware that he is a Bhagwan. They see Krishna and Rama in their Archa Murtis, like the Vigraha Swarupa that we worship in the temples, the Archa Murtis at Tirukoshtiyur and Tirukandapuram. The Vibhava is the Krishna Avatara, Rama Avatara, and the avatars of Vishnu. The Vibhava and Archa, they come together when the Alwars sing about avatars. The avatars are placed in these kshetras, and through those deity names that they celebrate Krishna and Rama. Let us soak ourselves in the mystical experiences of the Alwars, immerse ourselves in Krishna Bhakti and the Rama Aradhana. As per the traditional biography, Periyalvar was born in the 47th year of Kali Yuga at Srivilliputtur, and he is considered to be the Amsa of the Garudalvar. We get a very fascinating account of the Alvar in the Telugu epic of Emperor Krishnadevaraya. Apart from his gentle nature and generosity, Raya mentions how he would care for his wife, keeping dried fuel so that she doesn't shed tears when she's working in the kitchen, and also lend her a helping hand. So I think the Matrubhava of Periyalvar comes naturally because he is so much into what to say. Today they will call all these poems domesticity and various names and themes they get into. But Alvar lived it like long before we talked about all these things. The same Vishnu Chitta, who is called Periyalvar because he went to the Pandya Sri Vallabha's court to establish the Paratva, and he had the vision of Vishnu on Garuda. The same Periyalvar becomes a simple mother in Yashoda when he sings some of the poems, and when he
very
sings
conscious of
Pallandu, when he sees the vision of the Perumal. A major part of the 473 verses composed by the Alvar, Periyalvar, is the description of Krishna Avatara, the Bala Leelas, and as mentioned earlier, taking the step-by-step approach, singing each phase of the infant's growth. Tamil literature has, as we said, like Pillai Tamil Ilakyams in abundance. But Alvar's work, as we said, was the pioneering work. But it is not considered Pillai Tamil because the later grammar, what all stages it mentions, all those stages are not covered by Periyalvar. And also some say it is not considered a Pillai Tamil because it's already part of the compendium of the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. It becomes part of that Prabandham literature. So it is not classified as a Pillai Tamil as such. But it doesn't matter because we enjoy so many of those stages in Periyalvar. What terminology the literature gets becomes immaterial to us at this. A skillful weaving of childhood Leelas of Krishna with a larger Puranic and Vedantic knowledge, it's embedded in all these verses. The language and poetry, of course, is exquisite. It may be difficult for many in the current generation to perhaps relate to Pillai Tamil. But for many of us from an earlier era, it used to be very commonplace, the stories of the pranks the kids would play, the way the mothers would bathe the kids and beg them to come for an oil bath, eat in time, and calling the moon, to feed the children. Perhaps we have seen some of all those experiences in real life. After all, the chores has been done at home, the mothers would go bathe the children, the oil massaging, and all those exercises that we do in like a very mundane life, they all become part of the Krishna Avatara celebration in Periyalvar. Alvar and Andal, Periyalvar and his foster, he was the foster father of Andal. Both of them who lived in Srivilliputtur, they convert Srivilliputtur into a virtual Thiruvaipadi. She sings her Tirupavai based in Srivilliputtur, and Alvar's Pasuram, Periyalvar's Pasurams also are written in Srivilliputtur. But he also invokes the deities of the other Kshetras in the course of these poems. The thing to ask is, did Alwar have a mystic vision of Krishna while writing all this from Srivilliputur, or did he get transported to the Vraja where the Krishna Avatara and the Leelas happened? As he says later on in his Prabandham, he had etched all these like inscriptions on the wall, the valiant deeds, though this is in the context of Ramavatara, he mentions it. Perhaps the Krishna Avatar also, this applies that he has etched all these Leelas in his mind, like the inscriptions written on the wall. That is how it comes naturally to him when he is composing it or writing it. Krishna Avatara is celebrated by the Alvar at the Kshetram called Tirukkoštiyur. The Divyadesam becomes Tiruvaipadi or Gokulam, and he sings of the glorious Kshetram, which was bursting with happy celebration on the birth of Keshava. That is a verse that I have given here. Vannamadangal sool Tirukkottiyur Kannan Kesavan Nambi Pirandinil Ennai Sunnam Ediredir Tuvida Kannan Utram Kalandalayitre. How they were splashing turmeric oil and slushing the courtyard of Nanda's house and celebrating the birth of Krishna. Where is our Lord? Singers, dancers, drummers everywhere thronged Gokulam. They poured out good milk, curd, and ghee from the rope shelf, that is the uri, and lost their minds. They were so happy, they were so ecstatic. The scenes of celebrations are so familiar to what we read in the Bhagavatam, the turmeric and the powder celebrations, the oil, all the details we'll get in the Bhagavatam. It is interesting to note what Bhagavan, while he gives Devaki and Vasudeva the vision of his Paramatma Swarupa, and given the verses here from the Bhagavata, when he shows his Paramatma Swarupa with the Shankha Chakra and Chaturbhuja to Devaki and Vasudeva in the jail, Kamsa's prison, he tells them, both of you, husband and wife, constantly think of me as your son, but always know that I am the Supreme Personality, that is the Putra Bhava and the Brahma Bhava. In Yashoda's voice, as echoed by Periyalvar, we see this constant move between the Putra Bhava and the Brahma Bhava, knowing that he is the God and at the same time he is the infant, the child that they have to take care of and they have to tend to. The extraordinary as well as ordinary, it just goes hand in hand. Yashoda, like any other mother, was bathing, or rather here, the ladies around were bathing the newborn, cleaning the tongue with a turmeric, which is like a very routine thing that we'll see how the infant's tongue is clean, and taking that bit of turmeric that is essential to do it and all that. There the mother sees this is an ordinary task which she is doing, but what is the infant up to? The infant is up to. The infant is showing the universe in his mouth. Vayyam elum kandar pillai vayule. That the mother saw all the universe in the mouth of that infant. Not only Yashoda, but all the Gopa women saw the extraordinary sight. Vayul Vayegam Kanda Madanallar Ayar Puttiran Allal Arundaivam. He is not just a simple Yadu child. He is not a simple cowherd. He is not just Ayar Puttiran. Arundaivam. He is the God. Paya Sirudai Panbudai Palagan Mayan Endru Mahindanar Madre. He is a Mayan. They were like ecstatic at what they had seen. Do they forget that later when he starts his pranks? That we don't know. But at that moment, like when they were there to give him that ceremonial bath, they have this vision. As we said in Pillai Tamil, it is a celebration of the child. Growing up stage by stage, Alvar, after the Avatara and celebrations, moves from his observations about the Avatara from his point of view. All the observations he makes it from his point of view, but now he starts speaking like Yashoda in her voice. And that is the verse that I have quoted here. The Bhagavan is in the Jula, that is, he is in the cradle. And what happens? Look at what Yashoda is saying. கிடக்கில் தொட்டில் கிழிய உதைத்திடும் எடுத்துக் கொள்ளில் மருங்கை இருத்திடும் ஒடுக்கி புல்கில் உதரத்தே பாய்ந்திடும் மிடுக்கிலாமையால் நான் மெலிந்தேன் நங்காய். She is overjoyed with this child she has got. She is overjoyed at looking at him and his birth. But at the same time, this child is so mischievous that it is making her life difficult. She says, non melinde nangai. I become tired. I become exhausted. சீதக் கடலுள் அமுதன்ன தேவகி கோதை குழலால் அசோதைக்கு போத்தந்த பேதை குழவி பிடித்துச் சுவைத்துண்ணும் பாதக் கமலங்கள் காணீரே பவளவாயீர் வந்து காணீரே. She has explained, she started speaking about her experiences, and first thing she does is like she starts doing this padadikesha varnanam of Bhagavan. She starts from the leg and like how the infant takes the leg and pulls the toe and starts sucking it, which is like what all the kids do. And we have this major representation of it in the at the end of the Pralaya, when Bhagavan takes all the universes, the oceans, everything inside his stomach, how he is lying on the banyan leaf like an infant. So that is the expression that we get here in this பேதை குழவி பிடித்து சுவைத்துண்ணும் பாதக் கமலங்கள் காணீரே பவளவாயீர் வந்து கார். All the coral lip women, just come and see this baby, how he has lifted his leg and he is sucking his toe. And in fact, later in the stuti we get from Leela Sukha, we have this very famous shloka which many recite like every day. Karara vindena padara vindam मुकारविंदेन विनिवेशयन्तं वटस्य पत्रस्य पुटेशयानां बालं मुकुन्तं मनसा स्मरामि. That is the vision of the Bhagavan we get. He is an infant, but he is not just an infant. He is the Paramatma. And then again, we, as I said, like keep moving from here to there. Next is, let's see what she does. She talks about losing all her ghee. She has toiled so hard, collected milk and then stored them, churned butter and melted them into making the ghee and all that. However much ghee she has made, all that is gone. It is all missing. From the time Krishna was born, she is not able to get any ghee. That is that. She wants to scare him. So she lifts her hand, with the churner in her hand, as if she is going to hit him. The commentators say that she wanted to hit him not because she lost all her ghee, but she was worried by eating all the ghee he may have indigestion. So such is the Vatsalyam of the mother. The baby that didn't fear the demons crawled with fear when Yashoda threatened. The unfortunate mother who lost her saved ghee. That is what it is. She is an unfortunate mother who lost all her produce. But Bhagavan, who was like doing all the leelas, killing Putana and kicking off Sakatasura and all that, he is like scared when Yashoda comes to what to say, taunt him or chide him or whatever you call it. Commentators look at these verses with as much Vatsalyam as Alwar. Why I wanted to bring in and say what commentators have to say about this is to how we navigate through the modern literary criticism and religious studies works that we get on the Alwars and the Divya Prabandham is through to go back and look at how the commentators have commented on these verses. The commentary is not just from the theological point of view or reinforcing certain Vedantic principles, but it also talks about that Bhakti Bhava, the Vatsalya Bhava and all of it. And I think it helps us navigate that territory where we do not get to read criticism which has this Bhakti element in it, whereas we get that Bhakti and the reinforcement of what we are looking for it in the Divya Prabandhams when we go back into what or how the traditional commentators have given it to us. மத்தக்களிற்று வசுதேவர் தம்முடை சித்தம் பிரியாத தேவகிதன் வயிற்றில் அத்தத்தின் பத்தானால் தோன்றி அச்சுதன் முத்தம் இருந்தவா காணீரே முகிழ் நகையீர் வந்து காணீரே. He is a baby after all. So she is describing him step by steps and all that. So the baby is a male baby. So she's describing his parts and he is calling. And here in this verse, she is talking about Vasudevar. தம்முடைய சித்தம் பிரியாத தேவகியின் வயிற்றில் அத்தத்தின் பத்தானால் தோன்றிய அச்சுதன். Attam is the Hasta Nakshatra. He was born 10 days from the Hasta Nakshatra. So if you calculate 10 days from the Hasta Nakshatra, what happens? It becomes Shravana Nakshatra, Tiruvonam. That is Vishnu's Nakshatra. So we can take it as that Periyalvar has mentioned Attathin Pattanal to mean that it is the Tiruvona Nakshatra or the Shravana Nakshatra. But some of them say like calculate it not forward but go backwards. Then you get the Rohini Nakshatra. And then other interpretation is that when he said Matta Kalitru Vasudeva Chittam Piriyada Devagitan Vaitril, Alwar is scared of the dangers the baby faced. So he was scared to reveal all the details about the baby, about his birth. So he is hiding that he was born on Rohini by like masking it with Attathin Pattanal Thondriya. So his birth details are like sort of hidden that way. That is what it says. Now we go to other episode here. அதிரும் கடல் நிற வண்ணனை ஆய்ச்சி மதுரமுலை ஊட்டி வஞ்சித்து வைத்து பதறப்படாமே பழந்தாம் பாலார்த்த உதரம் இருந்தவா காணீரே ஒளிவளையீர் வந்து காணீரே. Alwar is like, if you read his poetry, you will get abundant references time and again to all the jewelry. The ladies, what they are wearing, and Krishna, what all jewelry he wears. He describes everything. And food, abundance of food and descriptions of food. It is like a celebration throughout. So he is talking about the ladies. Olivalair vandu kaalire. It's like, come and see his then other come and see him in the next song that quoted here. Peruma uralil pinipundirundu அங்கு இருமா மருதம் இருத்த அப்பிள்ளை குருமா மணிப்பூன் குலாவித் திகழும் திருமார்பிருந்தவா காணீரே செய்யிழையீர் வந்து காணீரே. Who is he? He is the one who has been tied to a mortar. Okay, so come and see. And this Leela is mentioned even while she is doing all these descriptions. The mischief was getting too much for Yashoda, so she had kept an old rope handy. She enticed the kid, breastfeeding him, and stealthily tied him with the rope. Srimad Bhagavatam says she went to remove the boiling milk from the stove, putting the child down. Enraged Krishna smashed the pots around, which made Yashoda mad, leading her to tie him with the rope. Vishnu Purana says Yashoda was angered by him playing with the calves, pulling their legs. Yashoda, who tied him to the martyr, is showing off the beautiful belly of the kid, the Damodara, the immortal image of Bhagavan getting tied down by an ordinary mortal, a cowherd woman. Nammalvar exclaims, எத்திரம் உரளினோடு இணைந்திருந்தேங்கிய எளிவே. He was such a simpleton that he let himself be tied by that innocent mother. He remained tied and then he slowly moved outside. He brought the two trees down, the Marudamaram or the Arjuna trees, and he did his Leela. So he was very quiet when she tied him. That is the Damodara. The bellies, when she's asking them to come and see his belly, the Damodara episode is narrated. She treats him to a punishment like that. And the next moment goes on telling how he kicked the cart. Like he was just put down there. But she says, like, that kid did it. You were punishing him one instant, and next instant you were praising him for what he did. Such a miraculous event. Killing Sakatasura, and how he sucked milk from Bhutana's breast, slaying her. Bhagavatam says how the Gopal ladies, along with Yashoda and Rohini, performed many rituals to ward off evil eyes on child Krishna for his well-being after the Bhutana episode. Later on, we'll see here a chapter on warding of the evil eye when we go to what is called a Kapittu Parvam. We have in one of the ancient the epics from Tamil, this description immortalized as a song in M.S. Subbulakshmi's voice, which many of you might be aware. வடவரையை மத்தாக்கி வாசுகியை நானாக்கி கடல் வண்ணன் பண்டொரு நாள் கடல் வயிறு கலக்கினியே. He was the one who churned the oceans to get Amrita. And what happened now? கலக்கிய கை அசோதையார் கடை கயிற்றார் கட்டுண்ண கை மலர்கமல உந்தியாய் மாயமோ மற்கைதே. The same Bhagwan who did that churning of the oceans was tied by Yashoda. அருபொருள் இவனென்றே அமர்கணம் தொழுதேத்த உருப்பசி ஒன்றின்றியே உலகடைய உண்டனையே. You didn't have any hunger, but you still swallowed the worlds. Vandulai, Malayai, Mayamo, Markaide. So this is how the celebration we get from an earlier instance in the Silappatikaram episode. That Krishna who once churned the oceans later was tied by Yashoda. Alwar too makes a reference again to the showing off of the Brahmanda in his mouth to Yashoda. Vayul Vayaham Kanta Madanallar was made earlier, but again he makes is it Yashoda or Alwar who's immersed in the Archavatara while singing it? Some ask. Anyway, Yashoda has already had Vayul Vayaham Kandaval, so she may know. Look at his throat, the Kandam Alakiyava Kanire, where she sings. She says, look at his throat, that of the one who swallowed the universe. Periyar was doing Sri Kainkaryam at the Srivilliputturu temple. The Nandavanam he had and the malas, the garlands he used to do. And the deity at Srivilliputturu was Vadapatra Sai. Even today you can go have worship of Vadapatra Sai apart from the Andal Ragamana temple there. And Vadapatra Sai was the deity who they were doing Kainkaryam to worshipping. The baby who swallowed everything during the pralaya and floated on a balmian leaf, that Vadapatra Sai is the deity at Srivilliputturu. Though the Archa form we see is not of a baby there, the deity is Vadapatra Sai. And she says there is a scholar we have in Bombay. She has written a very beautiful book on baby on banyan leaf. Devangana Desai. She says Srivilliputturu is the only temple we have for Vadapatra Sai. Under the whole concept of the baby on a banyan leaf like that, we get it from references from the Alwar poetry and the sculptural representations from the South India. That is what she says. And so Periyalvar, being a devotee of Vadapatra Sai, no wonder goes talking about the concept of the baby on a banyan leaf, or the one who shows the universe that he swallowed. Periyalvar is so down to earth, even as he keeps narrating the extraordinary leelas and layers of philosophical meanings. Bathing infants has to be done deftly, and Yashoda just uses that bit of turmeric washing the tongue of the baby. Nunukkiya Manjala is the detail we get. She asked the ladies to come and see his eyes, nose, mouth, and also a smile. We can't go through all the verses here, but it is a beautiful chapter one can read to enjoy all the 20 plus 20 verses that we have here. Periyalvar's eye for details, it's like it's to be enjoyed here. Now, after showing off the baby and all to everyone, now we go to the next section, which is the Talatu section. It's a beautiful lullaby. Again, we can't go through all the verses in the chapter, but we'll just get a glimpse of it. Here are some sculptural representation we have from the baby being tied to the mortar and Yashoda showing the cane to him. Okay, now we go to the Talatu. மாணிக்கம் கட்டி வைரமிடை கட்டி ஆணி பொன்னால் செய்த வண்ணச் சிறு தொட்டில் பேணி உனக்கு பிரமன் விடுதந்தான் மாணிக்குரலனே தாளேலோ வையம் அளந்தானே தாளேலோ. Talelu, it is a sound the mothers make when they put the baby in the cradle. That comforting sound which they make, when they put the baby to sleep. This is the Talelu comes from that. So he's saying like, come and sleep in the cradle. Look at the description. Brahma had sent that cradle which is made of manikam katti, the emeralds, vairam idekatti. He is wearing diamonds also. Aniponnal Seida Vanna Sirutottil. Anippon is considered to be the purest of the purest gold that you can get, that Anippon. So Brahma has sent him the cradle. So he's saying, come sleep. You who measured the worlds, come and sleep in the cradle which Brahma has sent you. He makes descriptions all about who all has sent what to him, the baby Krishna. Nandivahana Shiva had sent him the ornament worn around the girdle. இடுப்புல கட்டிக்கிறது இல்லைன்னா அந்த he makes distinction between 2 or 3 types of ornaments that is worn around the hips, apart from the one is the aranyan kairu, which they wear, the girdle, this thing. So he makes these references. Here he is talking about a ornament which Nandivahana Shiva has sent, and it is made of golden beads that have pomegranate flower motifs. Apparently, as I said, this ornament distinguishes it from the other ornaments that is worn around the hip. And Indra had sent him anklets. And the celestials had sent him various other ornaments. Vaishravana Kubera sent him a necklace with charms that carry the designs of Vishnu's Panchayutas. Even now there is jewelry is made of the Panchayutas of Vishnu as a motive, auspicious motive into ward of evil and all that. So he had sent him that kind of a necklace. Varuna had given bangles made of corals and pearls. ஓதக்கடலின் ஒளிமுத்தின் ஆரமும் சாதி பவளமும் சந்தசரி வளையும். ஜாதி பவளமும், very the pure corals. Okay. Then Lakshmi had sent him a garland made of tulsi. It's a most beloved of Krishna, isn't it? And here the Alwars sings, கானார் நருந்துழாய் கை செய்த கண்ணியம் வானார் செருஞ்சோலை கற்பகத்தின் வாசகியும் தேனார் மலர்மேல் திருமங்கை போத்தந்தால். Lakshmi had given Pone Aழேல் அழேல் தாலேலோ. Don't cry, don't cry. He's reinforcing. And again, this interpretation is like Lakshmi is like missing him because Bhagavan has come and taken this avatar. So they are saying, Alvar apparently is telling her, don't cry. Anyway, you are all together at Kudandai Kidandane Talelo, and Kudandai, you are all together. So that is what Lakshmi had sent. Look at what Bhumi Devi had given him. A golden diaper pin and a hairpin with flowers of gold marked with for Achyuta. Golden bangles, gems studded with the Neti Chutti. Parvati was standing there with Sugandha Podi, the fragrant powder which is used for bathing, turmeric, and Kanmai, the coal that we use for eyes, for the baby. When Bhagavan has taken avatara on the earth, all the gods, all the celestials want to descend on earth, isn't it? These 10 verses are sung by, as I said, many Carnatic musicians, and it's such a beautiful lullaby that we can play every day. There are many things that haven't changed in Srivilliputtur. Even today, we buy the Sugandha Podi. Look at the continuity. For bath from there, the Srivilliputtur Sugandha Podis are very famous. And like we call it like it's a southern Tiruvaipadi. And even today, you have the milk produced Palgova, which is like very famous in Srivilliputtur. And we can imagine how the ladies those days celebrated all the Krishna Avatara and the Krishna Janmashtami there. We can understand that from the Alwar poetry, Alwars, and also go and see the continuity of all the celebrations there. After singing about Krishna's birth, adoring him from head to toe, singing the lullaby, Alwar then goes to sing about what is called Ambuliya Parvam. Ambuli is the Nila. It is the phase when you are showing the moon to the baby and trying to comfort the baby. And in the villages, we have seen like in the night, the mothers will take the baby on their hips and then try to show the moon and feed them, which is a very, very commonplace thing. And the moon phase is also sung in many lullabies. In fact, we have very beautiful Annamacharya song on this lullaby based on the moon. Chandamama Rao, Jabilli Rao. It's such a beautiful thing. And here the whole 10 verses are given, which is about showing the moon to the baby. Here, actually, she is not even trying to show the moon to the baby or like trying to feed him, showing the moon. She is asking the moon to come down and play with him. And it is like, Yashoda challenges moon. You better come because my baby has to sleep. I want you to be here. So we'll see some of that. She teases the moon and she says, my kid's face is brighter than you. We all know like how dark Krishna was. Okay, but she has to challenge the moon saying that you have only a borrowed light. So my son is brighter than you. And then she threatens him. Don't think he's small. ஆழிகொண்டு உன்னை எரியும் வாழ உறுதியேல் மாமதி மகிழ்ந்தோடிவா. He is not an ordinary child. He will throw his chakra at you. Okay, and if you want to safeguard your life, you better come. She threatens him. He is yawning and he needs to sleep. If he doesn't sleep, the milk he drank won't digest. Look at the explanation. Okay, so the moon has to come so that he sleeps in time. For her child, she summoned the moon. Okay. I have not, put on the verses here from Sangire Parvam because we are skipping a lot of verses in there. In the order, we have next what is called the Sangire Parvam. The Sangire Parvam is like when the baby is like 4 or 5 months old, the neck is still not, firm. It will still be like wobbling like this. So that is the stage of the child which is celebrated in the Sangire Parvam. In these 10 verses, the Alwar recalls the deeds Krishna did in various avatars, the Vishnu avatars, Narasimha avatara, Trivikrama avatara, and then the deeds that done as a Krishna avatara, like the Kaliyam dance. He also narrates all the miraculous leelas like the Sakatashura Putana episodes. Then comes the classic narration of the Kaliya Nartana. I'll show the sculpture here. There are abundant sculptural representations, the paintings, and this is something which is a very, very unique. I want to just read this out. I didn't put the verse there, but look at the tone he has set for this particular verse. If you look at the other verses in this chapter and this Kalyanartana verse, you will see how the rhythm is different. I'll just read it out. I'll try to read it out. I don't know if that is the exact way that it has to be. Kaya malar nirava, karumuhil pol uruva, kanaga maamuduvil, kaliyan uchile, தூயநடம் பயிலும் சுந்தர என் சிறுவா துங்கமதக்கரியின் கொம்பு பறித்தவனே ஆயமறிந்து பொறுவான் எதிர்வந்த மல்லை அந்தரமின்றி அழித்தாடிய தாளினையாய் ஆய எனக்கொருகால் ஆடுக செங்கீரை ஆயர்கள் போரேரே ஆடுக ஆடுகவே. See how beautifully he is put in the dance tune to the whole episode of the Kalinga's dance here. And Bhagavatam has like some very beautiful verses relating to the Kaliya episode. You danced in ecstasy on the serpent Kaliya's head in the deep forest glen with your. You plucked the tusk of the elephant Kubalaya Pida. Without a match, you killed the fierce wrestlers in contest. Oh, my lord, dance. The Kalyanartana episode, as I said, is written. In fact, before this episode, when he goes out to the forest, to the waters, Yashoda is worried because Krishna was going alone. He didn't even have Balarama accompanying him. So she is very worried about him. But this child goes and like stuns the world with the Kalyanartana episode. And we have some brilliant poetry later also on the Kaliya episode, like Uttukadu Venkatakavi's Tillana. and Narsi Mehta's poetry on it. This is an episode which is like a very, very important part of the Krishna Leela, which Alwar has sung so beautifully here. Isn't it a sheer joy to see a wobbly baby bring forth both the hands together and clap and laugh? They're like just standing up and all that, and then they come and clap their hands like this. So that is the stage which is celebrated as the Chapani Parvam. In Periyarva's chapter on Chapani Parvam, we see Krishna as an ordinary kid playing in dirt, coming back home, brushing off the dust onto the mother's sari. And in many other verses, the kid's hands are that of the god. The Lord whose hands that tore Hiranyakashipu's chest, the hands that churned the ocean. Periyara describes the deeds those hands had performed and says Chapani Kuturve. This is the hand which tore, this is the hand that churned the oceans and all that. And he mentions all that and says, like, come and do the Chapani. Here, மாணிக்க கிண்கிணி தன்னரை ஆடத் தனிச்சுட்டி தாழ்ந்தாட என்னரை மேல் நின்றெழிந்து உங்கள் ஆயத்தம் மன்னரை மேல் கொட்டாய் சப்பானி மாயவனே கொட்டாய் சப்பானி. That kinkini sound which comes from the hip bells or the ankles or something, they mention like how this kinkini sound will come. If you make ornament in gold and put it on the hip or legs, it won't make that kind of a noise, you know. So you make it in gold and you fill it with emeralds and rubies or whatever precious stones, so that you get that kinkini, that anklet sound or the hip bells making the sound. He's telling your netti chutti, uh, the ornament that you wear on your forehead, that has to this thing, and then the sound that your jewelry is making. With all that, you come and do the chapani. And here, another interesting thing is that Yashoda says, Mannarai mel kottai chappani, Mayavane kottai chappani. She says, go and sit on Nanda's lap and do it. Okay. So Nanda also becomes part of this celebration here in this Chappani Parvam. First, she says, go and sit on Nanda's lap and do it. Then she calls again saying that, come and sit on my lap and do it. From Chapani, we will go to the Talar Nadai Parvam. Talar Nadai Parvam is like the wobbly walk. The child first starts walking. That is the first baby steps. For all the troubles Krishna gave Yashoda, see the mother's observations and how she worries about him. She is looking at him play in dirt and sweating and wonders if his lotus feet would be in pain walking on hard ground. So she wishes him to be walking on the flower-strewn path. Arunachala Kavi, in his song En Palli Kondiraya, asking Bhagwan why is he lying down on the serpent, he makes certain observation. He imagines as to why the god may be tired. Why is he tired? In that, he thinks of Krishna Leelais and asks if the acts like lifting the Govardhana for the sake of the people of Aipadi or herding the cattle, if any of that, caused him the tiredness, which is why he was trying to go and sleep. So like that, all of them show that Vatsalyam to see, like the baby would be tired, the baby would get hurt and all that. And they know Bhagwan's Vatsalyam, but they're also showing like how in their own, anxiety as being parents and having been parents or looking at the Bhagwan himself as that beautiful little child, they do this. That phase when that unsteady walk happens, the kid will come the kid can't walk steadily, because sometimes it'll come very fast and then fall at you or fall down on the floor or something like that. But that is also the stage when the baby will come fast and will hug you from behind. It is called Puram Pulgudal, the baby coming and hugging you from behind. And there is a chapter here on Puram Pulgudal, that hugging from behind. Yashoda ecstatically keeps saying Govindan Vandanne Puram Pulguvan, Govindan Vandanne Puram Pulguvan. She is very happy that the child is going to come and hug her. It is not that she is calling him to do it, but Bhagavan himself is doing it. And in this chapter, there is this, sorry that photo you see is not very clear, but it is the Yashoda and Krishna. And Krishna trying to climb onto the martyr to pull the curd or ghee or whatever from the uri. That has got a reference to this verse. That's why I showed it, tried to show it here. பொத்த உருளை கவிழ்த்து அதன் மேல் ஏறி தித்தித்த பாலும் தடாவினில் வெண்ணையும் மெத்த திருவயிறார விழுங்கிய அத்தன் வந்தென்னை புறம் புல்குவான் ஆழியான் வந்தென்னை புறம் புல்குவான். He is climbing on the martyr to steal butter and ghee and all that. And after having eaten all that, he will come and hug me. But look at this reference here. Why is she saying Potta Uralai Kavithu? Why not just the Uralai Kavithu? What is this Potta Ural? It is a broken martyr, which is the Potta Ural. The commentators say, ask, did Yashoda hide all the good mortar, so that Krishna doesn't come? She is hidden it. So he found only some broken Ural, the Potta Ural. He brought it and climbed it. Or that he broke some pots climbing up to steal the buttermilk and gorge them to his stomach's content. It is that Lord, that child who will come from behind and hug me, says Yashoda. There is a book which has been written about this particular episode of stealing butter, Vennai Undavaya. We celebrate him, the Vennai Undavayan, as a butter thief. There the author says, like, I was chided by a devotee for using the word thievery in my book for this Vennai Tiradi Saparada, that episode. But I think when we, and that lady tells that author, you people don't understand, he's a Westerner, you people don't understand it. I think it takes lots and lots of, I don't know, births that we take to become the devotees to understand what that Vennai Undavayan was trying to do or what he was trying to do. But see how our commentators go into details about what is Potta Ural, what is Yashoda doing and what is Krishna doing. Like they become one with the whole Leela. He is a master flutist. He climbed on the dune and danced, watched by the elders of his clan, praised by Vedic seers, celestials. His dance, praised by Periyalvar, here finds a beautiful expression later in Muthukkadu's Adadu Asangadava Kanna. Muthukadu celebrates the dance of Krishna. We know it is Tillai Nataraja who is the master of dance, but Muthukadu very interestingly has a line there. ஆடலை காண தில்லை அம்பலத்து இறைவனும் தன் ஆடலை விட்டு இங்கே கோகுலம் வந்தான். When Krishna was dancing, the Tillai Nataraja came down to see that dance. So no wonder that Periyalvar saw that vision or that dance and he is celebrating it here. Next stage we go to is called the Apuchi Parvam. All of us who have played with kids again would know that trying to scare the child, the child would also reenact that, closing the eyes and trying to scare away the child. Apuchi Katudal. Once again, there is an interesting episode from the history of the Arayar Sevai during Swami Ramanuja's time when Arayar was performing this particular song, this Apuchi Katudal. When the Arayar tried to show it as like scaring the child, Embar, who was Swami Ramanuja's disciple, apparently tried to show, signal that you have to show it as a Bhagavan with Shankha and Chakra. It is those hands that have to be shown and not the Apuchi. It is not that scaring of the child. It is the Paramatma Swarupa of the child that has to be shown here. See what we see or how we see these episodes. I think this Arayar Seva episode also shows it is not just an ordinary kid that you have to see. You have to see the Paramatma in that kid. This Apuchi again might be a lost word expression. The Puchi Katrathu was a very, very common when we speak in Tamil at home. It remains beautifully etched here in Pillai Tamil. Another word or expression that would also be extinct as we all move from talking in mother tongue to the newborn kids to English or any other alien language. That is a word called Ammam. Ammam Taruven, the whole episode of feeding him, the mammu, as we say, or the ammam, that Alvar uses in that episode of trying to feed him. There are many beautiful verses in this chapter. Yashoda is not able to control the naughty child, and she says, Nanda is not someone who can chide Krishna. She is not able to control him, but she thinks as Nanda also is not going to give him any galis. He is very fond of this child. He is not going to do anything. She feels helpless and not able to bear others complaining about her child. Uh, him doing mischief is okay, maybe for her, but the neighbor can't come and complain that your kid has stolen ghee or done something to my calf and things like that. He has come back after playing so much. He must have drunk on all the feed, drunk on all the milk and stored milk and butter and everything everywhere. So that night she thinks that I'm not going to feed him. He must have overeaten already. So she didn't feed him. But now the god is sleeping and she wants to wake him up. She calls him up saying, the one who's sleeping on the Aravanayai, sleeping on the serpent bed, and waking him up to feed him. When she says, wake up the one who's sleeping on the serpent bed, again we see that Brahma Baba and the Putra Baba both keep coming side by side. She also worries how neither she nor the father could punish him, make him mend his ways. At the same time, she is worried about the dangers he has from Kamsa's machinations. She wants him not to go out and play. Carnatic musician Aruna Sairam has made this song very famous. It's called Maadu Meikkum Kanne Poha Vendam Sonnen. It is like a dialogue between Yashoda and Krishna. Yashoda will tell Krishna, don't go out to graze the cows, there is so much danger out there. Thieves will be there, and Katu Mrugangal ellam, forest, the animals in the forest will be dangerous for you, don't go. And Krishna will say, don't worry, mother, I will subdue all of them. I will win them over. Don't worry, I will go. Okay, go. Anyway, you're not going to listen to me. And she will say, like, go. Then she will say, okay, you anyway decided to go on grace. பக்ஷமுள்ள நந்தகோபர் பாலன் எங்கே என்று கேட்டால் என்ன பதில் சொல்லிடுவேன் என்னுடைய கண்மணியே. Nanda, who's so partial to you, if he comes back home and asks, where are you, what will I tell him? The mischievous Krishna will tell in that song, Balarudan Vidiyile Pandaduran என்று சொல்லு, that I am playing with children in the outside. So that is how all these leelas are. Look at the continuity. From when to when we have all this. Silappadigaram sings about it, Alwars sing about it, then we have Surdas and whole lot of these bhakti poets. Then we come to 18th century, we have Uttukadu. Then 20th century, Papanasam Shivan comes and sings Ennatavam Saidana Yashoda, Engum Nirai Parabrahma Mamma Vendrareka. Look at that continuity. All these songs are being sung on all these leelas and Periyalvars, the Divya Prabandham, this is like a Isaipa, which is set to music. So from then, the music tradition also has all these composers who sung these leelas and that we are singing today. I think this, we try to place Carnatic music as just a 100-year-old, 200-year-old tradition and all that. But when we look at, I will mention about the pun also later in one instant, like a continuity, the structure and some of the ragas we may have today are like what is new. But what they sang, all this Bhagavan Avataras and Leelas and Tevarams and Divya Prabandhams and the later composers, like 1500, 1600, 1700, I don't know. It is as old as that. Reading all this and connecting, it gives us also that perspective. Okay, now comes the other stage in the baby's life. That is, once the baby is 1 year old, we all have that ceremony. Here it is said like the 12th month, Periyalvars, this thing, 12th month, Yashoda is trying to get the ear boring, Kadu Kuttudal, done for Krishna. it's a painful thing. Which kid will not cry? Okay, however much of medicine we have these days, the spray and everything, still the baby will cry. So imagine those days, she had to first bore it, and then they will put a thread on it for some days. Once it is all right with the thread, then the ornament will be put. That was a process. So she goes on this, like these 12 songs are like an effort. She will try to convince him, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, I'll give you this food, and all fruits. She tells him, look at how simple it is those days. She'll say, I'll give you jackfruit, I'll give you jamun, I'll give you all that. Come, we have to do this. There are these 12 months, and interestingly, in this chapter where there are 12 verses, Periyalvar uses this particular episode of Kadu Kuttudal, and in every verse he addresses Bhagwan uh, with the Keshavadi, the Dwadasha Namas, the Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Rishikesa, Padmanabha, Damodara. She calls him by all these names in all the 12 verses. There is an interesting observation. I'll read it out in Tamil itself. There is a commentary on this episode, the Dwadashanama, Keshavanama being used in this particular instance in this particular instance. குழந்தைகளுக்கு கேசவாதி நாமங்களை கொண்டு ரக்ஷை செய்வார். இவனே கேசவாதி மூர்த்தி ஆகையால் இவனே ரட்சித்துக் கொள்ள வேண்டும் என்பதாக இங்கே தோன்றும். So he is Bhagavan. We are saying that we are going to do the drishti for him and we are going to do all this. So chant the Keshava Nama here. He is Keshava. He will take care of himself. Okay. When the child grows up, the ear boring ceremony is done, and he is now grown up, and he is being given a staff to go out and herd the cows. And the child is called to have a bath. And there is a whole chapter on fixing flowers on his head, Puchutudal. Alwar weaves a beautiful garland in this chapter, which itself is called Puchutudal. And he gives a variety of fragrances in those verses. Yashoda calls him, saying that, come, wear Shenbagam, wear Malligai, which is the jasmine, the Padiri Poo, Davanam, Maruvu, Lotus, Punnai, Kurukatti, Iruvachi, Kurumugai, Sengadanir, all the flowers are given here. So he has to start going to herd the cows and all that. Once a kid goes out, everybody will look at him. He performs all these miracles. People will look at all this. So he will, have drishti. People may cast evil eyes on that. So before we go to that episode on Kapidadal, where this warding of evil eye happens, I will refer to one verse which I have mentioned here. அப்பம் கலந்த சிற்றுன்றி அக்காரம் பாலில் கலந்து சொப்பட நான் சுட்டு வைத்தேன் தின்னல் உறுதியேல் நம்பி செப்பிளம் என்முலையார்கள் சிறுபுறம் பேசி சிரிப்பர் சொப்பட நீராட வேண்டும் சோத்தம்பிரான் இங்கே வாரார். When she is calling him to bathe, she is telling, I'll give you appam kalanda sitrundi akaram palil kalandu soppada naan suttu vaithen. This is like a reference, even today for Janmashtami, there is a practice to do to make appam, and the sitrundi is like the seedai and all that is made. Akaram kalandapal, which is the akara adisil or the chakra pongal that is made. So this is like Periyalvara's son, so we follow it. So we have to make appam kalanda, all that sitrundi and akara adisil for Krishna Janmashtami now. So this is one verse which is on food from Periyalvar, which is followed. We'll go to the Kapid Parvam now. கன்றுகள் இல்லம் புகுந்து கதறுகின்ற பசுவெல்லாம் நின்றொழிந்தேன் உன்னை கூவி நேசமேல் ஒன்றுமில்லாதாய். You don't have any love or affection, what? மன்றில் நில்லேல் அந்திப்பொழுது. This is the sunset time, which is dangerous. Don't stand outside. மதில் திருவள்ளரை நின்றாய். Here in this, he is talking about the Kshetram and the deity Archa. He is talking about is the Tiruvallarai Peruman. Madil Tiruvallarai Nindrai, Nandrakanda Endan Sollu. What I say would be for your good. Naan unne Kapidavara. I have to do the Drishti Suttal for you, that Kapidadal for you. Come home. Periyarvar sings about Yashoda doing this for the infant baby child. But this Andikkapu is a practice which is there in the temples even today. When the Perumal has gone on a sojourn for a festival outside on Vidi Ula and all that, when he comes back, before he enters the Sanctum Sanctorum, the main temple complex, he is given this Tiruvandikkapu. I was told not to add any audio, video, visuals, but I thought this Tiruvandikkapu I will show because I didn't get good photo. I got only a video. So bear with me. I'll just play this very short video of Tiruvandikkapu to Nambarmal at Srirangam. This is the Tiruvandikkapu we have at the temples now. Tyagaraja Swami also sings for Rama, Raksha Bettare. So this, as we see time and again, we see the Bhagavan also as a baby and try to protect him from evil. Nammalwar and Tirumangai Alwar sang songs of Viraha, separation from the Lord to the Lord, taking the form of Parankusha Nayaki and Parakala Nayaki, the female voice. Here, Periyarva took the role of a mother, expressing every sentiment, love, affection, fear, concern. It is so natural, even those expressions, when she tries to admonish that she's a mother, even though he is a Paramatma, not an ordinary child. Alvar adored him as a child in his Prabandham and later earned the distinction of becoming the father-in-law to Bhagavan. Periyarvar also takes the voice of Nayaki, the mother of a Nayaki, in a few chapters. But the predominant bhava in Periyathirumozhi is that the Matru bhava, the Vatsalya bhava towards Bhagavan, which is what we explored in a very minuscule way till now. I'll end the Vishnu Chittar Periyarvar's Tirumozhi here with this verse. A mother's affection toward the child is such she can't bear to hear complaints from others. Though Yashoda knows her child is mischievous, she calls him. All the troubles the other kids create, finally the accusations fall on you. So she tells him, don't go and play in others' house, the house of other people who do not have any love or affection for you. Nesamilladar Manail Center Vilayadade. She says, don't go and play there. Nesamilladar Agattirundu ni Vilayadade. It's like an order to him. Purandaradasa has also given us a beautiful song called Manayolagado Govinda. Play inside your house. Don't go and play in anybody's house. If you want to earn the உனக்கு என்ன நீ லக்ஷ்மி நாராயணன்கிற விருதோட நீ இருக்க போறியா இல்ல வந்து உனக்கு திருடன்னு பட்டம் வேணுமா? That is what Purandadasa asks in that song. Do you want to be called a thief or you want to carry on with your birudu of Lakshmi Narayana? You want to go and play in others' houses? Like Alwar, Purandadasa also says in the song, I'll give you new dress, I'll give you jewelry, play inside the house. All the complaints also comes down in a different manner. As I said, looking at the continuity, if we remember the Subramanya Bharati's song, which is sung, which was also sung in a movie, Tira the Vilayattu Pillai. he narrates all the complaints that others will bring. Pinnalai Pinnindripan and Chere Vatri, that he will splash mud on saris of girls, and all the Ras Leela that we see, and the women who come and complain, all that. So the pranks have been endless. And till 20th century, we have had so many of those poets and composers who enjoyed those pranks and tried to express it and make us understand, them. வண்டு களித்திரைக்கும் பொழில்சூழ் வருபுனல் காவிரி தென்னரங்கன் பண்டவன் செய்த கிரீடையெல்லாம் பட்டர்பிரான் விட்டு சித்தன் பாடல் கொண்டிவை பாடி குனிக்க வல்லார் கோவிந்தன் தன் அடியார்களாகி என் திசைக்கும் விளக்காகி நிற்பார் இணையடி என் தலைமேலெனவே. The benediction, the falashruti that Periyalvar gives us, that all those who recite this would become Govindan tam adiyar, the devotees of Govinda. This decade of songs by Vishnu Chitta Patrabiran, he recalls the age-old pranks of the Lord of Srirangam surrounded by the bee-humming groves, watered by the sweetly flowing Kaveri. Those who can sing and dance will become Govinda's devotees, masters of all the 8 quarters of mind. With that benediction to become Govinda's devotees, we move on to the next segment. While Periyalvar's Krishna Bhakti was exuberant, joyous, Kulashekara, the devotee king who renounced his kingdom to be at Srirangam and among the Bhagavatas, who was filled with the Ramayana Anubhavam, sings lullaby to Krishna in Devaki's voice. Kulashekara, who was born in the 20th year of Kali at Tiruvanjikalam. Tiruvanjikalam is in present-day Kerala, as Kaustuba Amsa. And he sings of Devaki's separation from her extraordinary child. And that lament is heartbreaking. From all the beautiful celebrations in Yashoda's voice, we now go to see like how difficult it must have been for Devaki to be away from that child and not to have enjoyed any of those pranks, any of those growing up events of Krishna, unlike Yashoda. ஆலைநீள் கரும்பண்ண தாலோ அம்புயத்தடங் கண்ணினன் தாலோ வேலைநீர் நிறத்தன்னவன் தாலோ வேழப்போதகம் அன்னவன் தாலோ ஏலவார் குழல் என் மகன் தாலோ என்றென்னை என் வாயிடை நிறைய திருவினை இல்லா தாயரில் கடையாயின தாயே. That I didn't have the blessing to see you, to enjoy you, your eyes, your lips, and you lying in a cradle and looking up to me. I was not able to enjoy all those things as a mother, Tiruvinai, I was the unlucky one, and I am the unluckiest among the unluckiest of all the mothers. That is what she says. After this Talelo, the rest of the songs actually, become laments. She's very, very sad for that separation, And in Kulashekara's Perumal Tirumuri, it is very interesting, the connections he makes between the Bhagavan and the devotee, Bhagavan and devotee, the child mother, wife, husband, patient, doctor, subjects, king, bird and the shipmast in the seas, the lotus and the sun, the river and the ocean. So these kind of connections he makes between the devotee and the Bhagavan. Like even if a surgeon puts his knife on you, you do not dislike that surgeon. So the surgeon is like the doctor, even if he gives you, troubles in your life, that you have to look up to him to solve that. So all that kind of doctor, patient, that kind of connection between the devotees he makes. And here it is Devaki and Perumal. The relationship between them may cause hurt, but they are inseparable. Like a subject looking up to the king in hope, the patient who bears a surgeon's scissor. What is needed is an immersion in the bhava of the devotees here, the Matru Bhava or the Pitru Bhava, when the father is suffering the separation of the son, the devotee is longing, the innate desire of the jiva to reach Paramatma. Isn't that even as a literature, even if you read it as a pure literature, it makes such an impact. Even if you want to leave aside all the philosophical contours of it and read it as a plain literature. This is like amazing connection. You will not forget the Jivatma Paramatma Sambandham if you read them. Maruvunin Tirunettriyil Sutti Asaithara, the Netti Chutti, again, she's talking about like, I didn't see it. How you would walk with your Netti Chutti, that I couldn't kiss you. தன் தாதையை போலும் வடிவு கண்டு கொண்டு உள்ளம் உள்குளிர. That I couldn't see you and see your father's face on you. Like, you resemble your father. I couldn't see you lying in the cradle looking at to me. I couldn't see you in the cradle and see like how you resemble your father. I didn't have the luck to enjoy any of those. Thiruvilen ஒன்றும் பெற்றிலேன். I am so unlucky. I did not get anything. எல்லாம் தெய்வனங்க யசோதை பெற்றாளே. She got everything. Devananga Yasoda, she calls her. Yashoda was the luckiest one. She was the blessed one. She got everything. I did not get that. We saw in Periyalvar how Yasoda enjoyed the physical charms of the baby, the jewelry, curly hair, the pranks, etc. Here Devaki says, I couldn't see the swaying of your Neti Chutti. I couldn't look at your face and see how you resemble your father so much. Couldn't see you put your finger in your mouth and babble. I am unlucky. The godly Yashoda got it all. Kaushalya was a lucky mother, wasn't it? Because her son left her only when he was like much grown up. He was already married and all that. Though there is a separation in Kausalya's life also, but she enjoyed seeing Rama grow up. But there is a world of difference. Rama was Manatha Kinyan. He was dear to everyone. He was not a child who was playing any pranks or anything. And such a well-behaved child. He was like a Dharma Swarupam and he will not do anything wrong. Such a child. The last decade of Kulashekara's Prabandham Perumal Tirumozhi actually becomes a virtual mini Ramayana. But there is this Talattu chapter in Kulashekara also addressed to Rama, which has many deeds and incidents from the epic. Both from the Vibhava and the Archavatara, he narrates all the epics. Maybe because Rama doesn't have any pranks to, celebrate and write about. Kulashekara had no other option, but he has to talk about the grand deeds the Perumal performed in his various other avatars and also in the Ramavatara itself, he narrating Ramayana. So there are no pranks here, but grand celebration of the grand deeds of Bhagavan in the lullaby to Rama. As I said, the musicality of these things. There's a reference in the Music Academy journal from one of those annual conferences they've had. Lecture demonstration on Divya Prabandha music by Vidushi late Manikrishna Swami and late scholar T.S. Padsardi, wherein it is reported that she sang the song. The beginning of that talat is Mannu Pugal Kosalaitan in ragam called Megaraga Kurunji. That Megaraga Kurunji is the name of the Pannisai in the Tamil system that we have, the Megaraga Kurunji, the equivalent raga being Nilambari in Carnatic. That lullaby is still popular and many sing it today in Nilambari. And it continues to be sung on the Carnatic stage, that Mannupugal Kosalaitan Manivairu Vaitavane. Alwars sings that Mannupugal Kosalaitan song to the Perumal at Tirukkannapuram. There, Tirukkannapuram Perumal becomes Rama. And Kausalya's little gem, he sings songs to her, that sweet nectar that she has. He was the one, as I said, who stole the hearts of everyone. And he was the one who slayed he was so valorous that he slayed Tataka. Rama was such a great avatara. Kausalya was not unlucky, not like Devaki who had to part with the baby and get him back as a boy, not like Yashoda who brought him up also, because there was basically differences in both Ramavatara and Krishnavatara. As a mother, Kausalya was there to see the baby grow, and that is how we have these lullaby to Rama by Kulashekara Alvar in Kausalya's Bhava. One of the commentators makes an interesting point about the separation, the Matrubhava, singing about Bhagavan with the Matrubhava and the Viraha Bhakti of the Nayaka Nayaki, that kind of separation. He says when the love-struck couple, they have a fight, when they get back, they may get more galis from the Nayaki, saying like, why did you go away? And they might, but a mother would never do that, he says. The mother would be very happy to see the child back. So he says, he makes a distinction between the Nayaka Nayaki separation and the mother-child separation. And that also helps us to navigate through the various complexities that the bhavas, when the male poets take on the female, be it mother's bhava and Nayaki bhava, how we go through understanding it. Also, we get a lot of help from the commentaries. Sorry, I've not added that Mannupugal song here. Mannupugal Kosalaitan Manivairu Vaitavane, Tenilangai Konmudigal Sindhivithai Sembon Ser, Kanninanma Madilpude Sul Ganapuratten Karmaniye, Ennuடைய Innamude Raghavane Talilo. That is how Rama, son-in-law of great Janaka, the beloved spouse of Sita, and the most beautiful lines come up here. Paralum Padarselvam Bharata Nambike Aruli. He was a renouncer. He just gave up the kingdom to Bharata. Ara and Vilayavanodu with Lakshmana, Arunkanam Adindavane, who walked to the forest. Siralum Varemarba Tirukkanna Purattarase, Taralum Neenmudi in Dasarathi Talelo. My dear Dasarathi, sleep Talelo. Sutra பின்தொடர தொல்கானம் அடைந்தவனே, அற்றவர்கட் கருமருந்தே அயோத்தி நகர் அதிபதியே, கற்றவர்கள் தாம் வாழ கணபுரத்தென் கருமணியே, சிற்றவை தன் சொற்கொண்ட ஸ்ரீராமா தாரேலோ. Again, the one who walked to Dandakaranyam, followed by Kittankin, everyone walked with him. In fact, the 20th century composition from Papanasam Sivan, the Ramacharita, sung by Sirgari Govindarajan, has a very moving, he will make you cry. He says, உத்தம புத்திரன் ராமபத்திரன் வனம் செல்ல ஊரெல்லாம் கதறி அழுதது, வாய்க்கொண்ட உயிரெல்லாம் அழுதன, இளம் கன்றோடு பசுவும் அழுதன. So he says, like, everybody, when Rama went to forest, all of them were crying. So that was the kind of a child he was. Sutramellam pintodara. Everybody was going with him. They didn't want to see him go. They wanted to bring him back. Sutramellam pintodara tolkana madindavane achavarat karumarunde ayodhi nagar kadi. Sitravai tan sorkonda Srirama talelo. You listen to your Sitrannai, your what to say, the other.
Vijay, I just want to interrupt you. We've just 5 more minutes left for 9.
Come to the
you can continue because we'll take up some time in case people want to ask some questions or something. So I just want
maybe 5 or 10 minutes, not more than that. Yeah. Okay. So he is at Kanapuram. He is the Ayodhya Adipati. There is no confusion here. We all know who he is. தேவரையும் அசுரரையும் திசைகளையும் படைத்தவனே, யாவரும் வந்தடி வணங்க அரங்கநகர் துயின்றவனே. குலசேகரா Srirangam was very dear. So அரங்கநகர் துயின்றவனே is like calling him as the Ranganatha Perumal. காவிரினல் நதிபாயும் கடப்புறத்தென் கருமணியே, ஏவரிவன் சிலைவளவா ராகவனே தாலேலோ. Even before Kamban wrote Ramakadai, the Kambaramayana we have, in Tamil, a concise Ramayanam was given to us by Kulasekara, which we need to remember, and his lullaby. And I'll go to the last part. That is the not only the Matrubhava, Alwar also talks from Dasharatha's point of view. There are 10 songs on Dasharatha's lamentation. Dasharatha is crying that he is separated from Rama. இன்று கானகமே மிக விரும்பி நீ துறந்த வளநகரை துறந்து நானும் வானகமே மிக விரும்பி போகின்றேன் மனுகுலத்தார் தங்கள் கோவே. Dasharatha cries, saying that he asked Vasishtare, Sumantirare Sollum, you tell me, I should have gone on Vanaprastha at my age. I should have gone to the forest. Instead, I have made my son go. He says, Nanum Vanagame Mihavirumbi Pogindren. I leave this earth and I will go to Swarga. So Dasharatha cries in those 10 songs about the separation from Rama. And you can see that love and affection that Shraddha has in those 10 verses, which is beautiful and moving verses. It will make anyone cry, that affection that Dashratha had for Rama. I will end with the last Falashruti from Kulasekara's this. ஏறார்ந்த கருநெடுமால் ராமனாய் வனம்புக்க அதனுக்காற்றாய் தாரார்ந்த தடவரைத்தோள் தயரதன் தான் புலம்பிய அப்புலம்பல் தன்னை கூறார்ந்த வேல்வலவன் கோழியர்கோன் குடைக்குலசேகரன் சொற்செய்த சீரார்ந்த தமிழ் மாலை இவைவல்லார் தீநெறிக்கண் செல்லார்தாமே. வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் பிரேயர். நாமெல்லாம் சொல்வோம், பகவானே இந்த குழந்தைக்கு நல்ல புத்தி கொடு as a prayer. He says, சீரார்ந்த தமிழ் மாலை இவை வல்லார், the ones who know these verses, well, தீநெறிக்கண் செல்லார்தாமே, they will not go to any evil ways. So that is the benediction that Alwar gives at the end of this. Mangalam Koshalendraya Mahaniya Gunatmani Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam.
Thank you so much, Vaijayanti, for taking us through this, what you call Putra Bhava and Brahma Bhava. It's amazing how they have written all these verses, and especially towards the end, it's like through Devaki, we are getting to understand how Kaushalya would have felt. That is quite a amazing thing. I hope we have more sessions with you. Any of the participants want to comment? I think Mrinalini had some comments. You see, she had pointed out to the pun, which you said was the same as Neelambari, and then she also had mentioned about an Annamaya Kriti. Please feel free to ask Vaijayanti anything.
And that concept that you mentioned about how, while playing with a child, you, in a jovial way, you try to scare the kid, and that way, using the word dobuchi, there is an Annamacharya composition, Bandi Virichi, there's a composition which is set in that style, and it describes Shekatasura Vadham, and that incident is also described. I just was reminded of that when you used we mentioned that term. That's why.
Thank you.
Yes, and the continuity comes, we still use words like ammam or mammam and appuchi and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it's not funny how much we are connected to that world.
Yeah.
Periyalvar uses lot of words which are not used in Tamil today, but is there in Malayalam. He keeps calling the baby Kuttan. Even in that Puram Pulguvan, he will say Kuttan Vandennai Puram Pulguvan.
In fact, in many of the
so there are a lot of words which are in Malayalam today, which in Tamil we are not using.
In fact, even in both Tirupavai as well as Tiruvembavai, you find the word ingane, which we use in Malayalam, which means ipadi, like this. But you find the word ingane in this thing, which you don't hear in Tamil these days.
Yeah. Yes. People like me have trouble pronouncing that ingane, in Tamil. Because we're not used to it at all.
Nammalvar also has a song in the Nayagi Bhavam that Inganeyo Annai Meergal. That song, Inganeyo Annai Meergal, the Tirukkurungudi, I think it's a Tirukkurungudi Pasuram.
Yeah. I have one query, Vaijayanti. They often say that among the Navavidha Bhakti, the Viraha Bhakti, I have heard it, one school of Vaishnava Sampradaya opined that the Viraha Bhakti is the highest, they say, because, you're always yearning for the Lord. Anything like that is described among the Nalayas, Divya Prabandham, where,
Of course, it is full of Nammalvar. That's what I mentioned. No, Nammalvar and Tirumangai, Both are even called by their female names. They are called Parankusanayaki and Parakalanayaki. When they sing in a feminine voice, they are called Parankusanayaki and Parakalanayaki.
Still, that is considered the highest form, is it? I mean, even more than Vatsalya.
I don't think that there's distinguishing of between the highest form or not, but because of the Vraja and the whole the Vraja literature and the Chaitanya and Vallabha Sampradaya and the whole Rasalila, we have a very, very large focus on the Viraha Bhakti, the Radha Bhakti. The whole Vrindavan is Radhe's land.
Yeah.
Vaijayanti, to just clarify, you said that this kind of Vatsalya Bhakti and literature is the oldest of it is this in Divya Prabandham. We don't have evidence of it in other languages. Is that what, did I understand that correctly?
At least I have not come across any of the Talat or this kind of an expression in any other language before the Alwars time. We have the Gita Govinda, Krishna Karnamrita, but only one which I can think of is the Basa's play, the Balacharitra of Basa's play. And like Harivamsa, there are a couple of Jaina texts that I believe that exist. But I don't know whether the Vatsalya Bhava or Talat or any of that is there in those songs. The Harivamsa is also, it gives the basic biography of Krishnavatara, but not this kind of a very detailed celebration of Krishnavatara. Krishna as a child, growing up years, everything you find in Periyarva.
You also mentioned there's a distinction where you say Krishna Bhakti and Rama Aradhane, Is that because
I use those words because as I said, like how we enjoy Krishna's pranks. Rama didn't do any pranks. Rama was like a very serious kind of a man. He was like a Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmaha. It's like established in the beginning itself how you look at Rama, Satya Santa and all that. So that he is like a Aradhya, like immediately the way he is presented to you. But Krishna, like the way he goes, he does all this. When people have a problem, seeing him as a thief, how do you call him a butter thief? Thieving is immoral. How can a kid be doing thieving and be pardoned by the mother and all that? So that is the very unique we have in Krishnavatara. So said like we enjoy Krishnavatara. We do not practice what he did, but whereas we're supposed to practice what Rama did.
Yes, we enjoyed this session very much, Vaijayanti. It's been a great pleasure. Like for those of you who I just forgot to introduce. Vaijayanti has done 2 sessions with us in the past few years. The first was Bhakti in Ponniyin Selvan, and then last year she's shared with us about Brahmotsavam. Both of them are available on our Hindu Center YouTube pages. You can those are also wonderful sessions. She's given us the depth of the subject and at the same time made it very interesting. So we're looking forward for more such sessions from Vaijayanti in the coming years. And those of you who are in Singapore, we have many such classes. And this year we want to do more online sessions. So people who are in India can also please come and support us. Thank you so much. I'll end with our closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And then we will see you also. Thanks so much, Vaijayanti, and all of you for attending this.
Thank you. Thank you.